Dear Pixie, you asked us. You are referred to as the white-winged collective consciousness of 9. Do you go by, or are you referred to as other names? If another conduit says they are in communication with the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, are they actually communicating with you, the same structure? And if so, how are you able to communicate with more than one or with several conduits at the same time? Indeed, our conduit referred to us as the white-winged collective consciousness of 9 due to our presentation when we made ourselves known to her. Both the colour white and the number 9 are significant as to who and what we are, and indeed we are a group soul presentation, as in a collective consciousness. We do have many names and are known by many names. Indeed, other conduits are in communication with us. We are able to communicate not only with several conduits at the same time, but all conduits, should they seek us out. However, we must explain what we mean when we say we and us, for from another perspective, or a different aspect of the we and us, we as a collective consciousness presentation within a unique signature or tone are exclusive to our conduit, Magenta Pixie. Just as there are no two human beings that are absolutely identical, except for the rare cases that you know as identical twins, and even they are not truly energetically identical, no two guidance system structures are the same due to the unique merge created betwixt conduit and guide or higher self construct. We may best explain this by presenting ourselves as a triad, a column of 3 sections, if you will, a higher self trinity. Within each section, there are 3 aspects. One could refer to these sections or aspects as the first triad, so this would be points 1, 2, and 3. The second triad, which would be points 4, 5, and 6, and the third triad, which would be points 7, 8, and 9. There you have the 9. This is a very simplified structure, yet an accurate one, depicting your DNA configuration when it comes to how you perceive memory. So we could be looking here at the first triad being the third DNA strand, that which moves beyond the double helix of strand 1 and strand 2. The second triad would equate to strand 4, and the third triad to strand 5. Again, we emphasize that this is a crude and basic explanation of an extremely complex structure, and is but one simplified model of DNA presentation. However, as we have said, this is an accurate model. For more intricate and complex models, we suggest you look at the deeper matrix structure presented in our transmissions through our conduit, as well as what is known as the Tree of Life or the Kabbalah. Look to the 13th Sephiroth model for high accuracy. Back to our simplified 3-triad model, giving you 9 points within these beyond the triple helix DNA configurations. You can therefore see that any individual operating within 5th dimensional consciousness holds a complex memory structure that is a 9. This 9 is a central or 0 point. Therefore, everyone activated to 5th strand level has a 9, or unactivated individuals have a potential to activate a 9. This is simply what you know as memory, or cellular memory, or higher memory. This memory, however, is not limited to the past, but is linked also to the present, throughout the quantum field of alternate or parallel lives, realities and worlds, and into the future. This is known as a time matrix. When this DNA cellular memory is activated in real time, then many fifth strand activated individuals begin to see, hear, or feel their memory system as a being, or an intelligence, or a group consciousness. And so, of course, it is thus. What these fifth strand activated individuals see, hear, or feel is the complexity that is their true selves, which is a unity structure and an infinity structure. You are all things. We repeat, you are all things. When this conduit makes contact with these beings and intelligences that are us, or like us, the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, they do this through the triad structure we speak of. From the perspective of the third triad, points 7, 8 and 9 in the structure, then all guidance structures upon your planet are one and the same, regardless of name or visual they present. We repeat, all guidance structures upon your planet are one and the same, regardless of name or visual they present. So each conduit is, in effect, channeling the same being, intelligence, or collective consciousness or group soul. You may know of Abraham, the Galactic Federation of Light, the White Brotherhood, Metatron, Ra, Seth, Adronis, Cryon, Bashar, Adamu, the Cassiopeans, the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, and so on and so on and so on. The names given are as infinite as the structure itself, which radiates well beyond your planet. Yet it is the essence of the structure that is communicated with. And once this structure is named or labelled by the conduit as Abraham, the Galactic Federation of Light, the White Brotherhood, etc., etc., that is when they become individualised and unique. They are seen, if you will. This is due to a merge between the greater aspect of themselves and the third dimensional vehicle or counterpart or conduit who channels them. The observation of them, the categorization of them through the labeling or naming, and the merging with them creates their individualization. You may have heard it said that a higher galactic being, or celestial or angelic entity, has to step down in their frequency in order to communicate with a physical, human, incarnated being. Well, this is what this means. They move through the third, second, and first triad, which equate to the fifth, fourth, and third DNA strand of your DNA structure using this simplified model. Therefore, from the perspective of the step down from full unification into individualization and the merge with the third dimensional aspect of themselves, they become unique as a self, even whilst holding the form as a group soul or a collective consciousness. This is why some conduits or channels communicate with just one being, and others communicate with a whole host of individual beings, or one collective consciousness. Only from the perspective of the first two triads, points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, are they individualized structures. Only the higher third triad, points 7, 8 and 9, is unified, as this equates to the fifth strand DNA activation, the fifth dimension, or what is also known as fourth density. From this first and second triad perspective, we, the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, are as individual and unique as you yourselves are. Indeed, we are unique from this perspective, and we only communicate through our conduit, Magenta Pixie, because we are her. We are her DNA memory fields. We are her in the future. We are her higher cosmic blueprint of self. If another conduit is in communication with the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, from the perspective of the first and second triads of memory, that white-winged collective consciousness of 9 are not us. They are a different and unique presentation to us, for they are their conduit in the future. They are their conduit's higher cosmic blueprint of self. From this perspective, no other channel is channeling us except for Magenta Pixie. However, from the perspective of the third triad of memory, the truth here is very different. All higher guidance structures are us. All that have ever been known and ever shall be known upon your planet and beyond are us. Whatever name or label or sacred signature they take or are known by, they are us. However, there is yet another explanation to this us we speak of. From the perspective of the third triad of memory, there is still polarity. This, due to the third dimensional merge, does not fully enlighten or expand beyond positive and negative at this stage. The best way to explain this is to look at the model that is known as the two-world split, or it is more accurate to present, in this case, the two-dimensional split. That of negatively polarized fifth dimension and positively polarized fifth dimension, or fourth density negative and fourth density positive, or descension and ascension. Using the above polarity model, the us, that is the third triad of memory, or fifth DNA strand, is polarized also. Therefore, all higher guidance structures known on your planet are either positively polarized as a service to others structure, or negatively polarized as a service to self structure. One may know this in one form as God and Satan, or Jesus and Lucifer. Yet these labels are truly meaningless when interpreted from the third dimensional consciousness only, for they invoke separation through ignorance and confusion, and linear interpretations take place. This has created and continues to create much misunderstanding and conflict among your people. The wise elders amongst you, fifth DNA strand activated individuals, know that unification of these structures is the path to true enlightenment. The polarity grids of negative and positive begin to unify within the upper echelons of the fifth dimension. As you move into sixth DNA strand activation, you move beyond this simplified triadic structure into more complex geometries, which is outside the scope of this transmission. So, to summarize, we respond again to your questions. From the perspective of the third triad of memory, we go by and are known by other names. From the perspective of the first and second triads of memory, we are known as the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, so named by our conduit, Magenta Pixie. If another conduit or channel says they are channeling the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, then from the perspective of the third triad of memory, yes, they are channeling us. From the perspective of the first and second triads of memory, no, they are not channeling us and cannot possibly be doing so, for we are Magenta Pixie. We are able to communicate with several conduits at the same time, for we are omnipresent and omnipotent, and we present as an infinite helix structure from the perspective of the third triad of memory. We do not communicate with any other human incarnated conduit other than Magenta Pixie from the perspective of the first and second triads of memory, for we are an individualized structure that is known as a triple helix or a beyond the triple helix DNA configuration. Within this transmission, along with information delivery through light codes or plasma packet seeds, we have presented keys, codes, and triggers into an expansive state of mind known as paradoxical consciousness or bilocational or trilocational consciousness. These are potentials or seed points into multilocational consciousness and thus omnipresence. Understanding is not important for activation of this, although it shall assist you greatly with the clarity that comes to you through the processing of these concepts that create genius flow, genius brain patterning, and the utilization of the higher mind within, thus triggering and assisting the transducing of the higher light spectrum, which is translocation of true self, and transformation and transmutation of cellular structure from carbon-based molecular structure into silicate or silicon-based molecular structure, which is crystalline and is your true and royal self. We are the white-winged collective consciousness of 9. In this transmission from the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, I, Magenta Pixie, bring forward information specific to utilising the rose gold flame as antidote to 5G, EMFs, chemicals, chemtrails, and similar. The presented template utilises the Schumann resonance, and the technique is alchemical unification. In this book, the 9 discuss synchronicity, discernment skills, and understanding of discordance and disharmony within truth and lightworker communities. They present a workable model of expression, assisting the spiritual explorer in creating a necessary toolkit. This allows the individual to construct a shield, bringing safety, harmony, expansion, and cohesive sovereignty into their own personal reality and their matrix field. I am pleased to present my new short book, The Black Box Program and the Rose Gold Flame as Antidote.